Hey everyone, Eric Thompson here. Hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel for another edition of the AFI Top 100 series. And in case you're not familiar with what this series is, for this year, 2013, I decided to go through every film on the AFI, American Film Institute Top 100. Talk about three things, really. Why it's on the AFI Top 100. Does this film remain relevant for today? And then 3, I do my regular gig of looking into it for some sort of spiritual, religious, Christian insight. Okay, sort of not only looking at, where is God in the movie, but how does the movie look at my life? And, maybe how do I see God in myself through the lens of the film? And so here we are, sure enough, in the 70s with number 78, Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. Now, here again, we have Chaplin's legendary tramp, or the little tramp character, who starred in many of Chaplin's films, of course. And this film, somewhat regarded as Chaplin's greatest achievement, although we're going to see 2 more of his films, at least 2 more, later on in the countdown. So I'm going to save a more in-depth look at Chaplin for later on. Suffice to say, this is a very unique treatment for him. Interesting, especially if you've seen the film, you'll notice there is some spoken dialogue in the beginning. Then about toward the end of Act 1, it goes back to a silent film with caption cards and all of that. Just very curious for the time. In the development of the film, Chaplin had decided, you know what, it's too much work to do the dialogue recording and all that. And so he just went to, sound effects synchronization and all of that. Just a little tidbit there. And of course, Modern Times is one of the few films on the 100 which is directed, produced, written, and starred in by the same person, Charlie Chaplin. Now, this film, of course, is on the AFI Top 100 for that very reason, because of Charlie Chaplin himself, and it would be a difficult task to underestimate his contribution to the cinematic world, all that he has poured into what we consider popular film, his creativity, his vision, his approach to both cultural matters and simply the way of living, okay? Certainly here, looking at not Europe, but maybe Europe, we're not really sure, not exactly sure. He was born in London, okay? And they say that this film was inspired by a visit to the UK, a tour of the UK, and seeing the conditions there in these workhouses and all of that. Also, another reason, of course, why this film, is on the top 100 is because it looks at some of what communism meant for the low class, okay, not the middle class, but really the lowest class of people during this time in the 30s. Bravely, even though at times it really feels quite like a romantic comedy. And that, of course, is why I believe it remains relevant for today, because even romantic comedies of today, the good ones anyway, will play on both sides. They'll have that romantic sitcom, situational comedy, romantic situational comedy element, but they'll also play heavily on the distress of the protagonist, which makes his or her victory all the greater, all the more incredible. Also, for what it's worth, here we see Chaplin just beautifully vulnerable, okay? Sometimes our conception of him is just of the tramp, the character, Vegas, put up a picture of the tramp here. There he is, the clown shoes and everything, created, to be a muse, to be an expression of the times. And so people, mistake Chaplin with being him. But here we see the tramp maybe fading a little bit. Maybe Chaplin is coming forward a little bit more in this performance. It is very endearing. As fun and as delightful as it is a truly endearing and beautiful performance. And for what it's worth, just trivia, in that scene toward the end, almost the end of the film, when Chaplin sings that French song, that was the first time up to that point that his voice had been heard on the big screen, on the silver screen. And so this was something of a milestone for him in that respect as well. He had held out against the talkies for a while, but every film after this point certainly was a talkie indeed. The spiritual element of this film relates very much to the love story aspect of this plot. When he meets this young lady who is about to be arrested for stealing a loaf of bread, and he puts himself in her place and says, "No, it was me, take me." And they end up taking both of them, of course, and that is what we call in the biz, okay, that's the meet cute, right? That's the serendipitous meeting of the boy and the girl, and thus it begins. The boy gets girl, or boy tries to get girl, or boy loses a girl, however it turns out, that plot device. And it just kind of struck me how the tramps, the little tramp, excuse me, I'll try to call him that so there's no confusion, but little tramp's direction in the film was pretty set up to that point. You know, he was tired of the monotony of his work, and he wanted to really have freedom in his life, and he was seeking it at whatever cost. And then he met her, and through his kindness toward her, his gracious act, his whole life kind of spun around, and suddenly he was caught up in this dream of being with her, and they daydream about what it would be like to have a proper home and meals and shared time together and all of this. And I thought of all the times in my life in which I thought I was going in one direction, and then something happens and I end up going in a different direction. Some of you may know, for instance, I went to college to study youth ministry, okay? And then the Lord touched my heart in a special way, and I changed my major without really any experience in this discipline to music ministry. Wow! The same thing kind of happened again when I met Tori. You know, I was heading in this direction, thinking I was going to go this way, and then I met her, and it was an immediate change. And there was nothing else for me to do but to head that other direction. And this, of course, is reflected beautifully in the Bible. Not my personal experience, but the experience of so many of the great champions and heroes and heroines of the faith. Those moments, those what we would call kairos moments, moments in which, you know, heaven touches down on earth, right? So many different characters having those instant encounters with God in their life being radically changed, okay? Whether it's in Genesis with Adam and Eve and the snake, and then, of course, living with God in the Garden of Eden, to Moses in the burning bush, Abraham, of course, going backwards, just as he's about to sacrifice his son, all the way through the prophets, King David especially, his encounters with the living God, John the Baptist, who, while baptizing people, who comes upon him but Jesus, the Son of the living God. What an amazing encounter for John the Baptist. And then, of course, for all those that Jesus asked to follow after him, especially the disciples, who were going about their business almost always. And there was the Savior, and they had an encounter with him, and the direction of their lives immediately changed. Wow. This is the Christian life. And every day gives us this opportunity to have that encounter, to have that kind of bumping into Jesus moment. Oh, here you are, and here I go, following after you. The general direction is set when we follow the Savior. We're carrying our cross toward Calvary with him, giving up ourselves to live for Jesus every day. But even in the smallest, most seemingly insignificant moments of our day-to-day existence, Jesus is there, directing us to go this way and that way, to move toward this person, to seek peace in this relationship, okay? To do well and to show mercy to this person or to this group, or to be kind in this instance, to do a good work in this occasion. All those little moments, those kairos moments, which really are no different than those incredible stories of the Bible, because they're in our time and in our world and in our place and they give us an opportunity to do exactly what the champions of our faith did, and that is to follow God, to walk closely with God, and to serve God and thus draw other people to God as well. It's a simple reflection, not too far-fetched, I don't think, and indeed, if you've seen the film, perhaps you'll see that deviation, okay? The little tramp was on this kind of a course, and then he met the girl, and it totally changed, and he followed that track through the rest of the film. He never really deviated at all, even in all of the adventures and pitfalls and so forth that he encountered. So that's number 78, Modern Times. Okay, number 77, All of the President's Men is coming up. Oh, number 76, Forrest Gump. So glad to get into that. It's another Tom Hanks film that's been on the AFI Top 100, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you as always for watching. I truly, really, surely do appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the channel if you care to. I don't mind. I would appreciate it if you would. Leave a comment below. What did you think about all this? Okay? For those who have been wondering, not that there are many of you, maybe there are, I don't know, about the BTSD, the book-to-screen differential, okay? Here's a link. Check it out. Go over there and see what I've been talking about with this thing. We're really, really close, okay? I'm doing some test videos right now to make sure I got everything worked out, but I think very, very soon we'll have the first set of those videos ready to upload. So look for that on the channel. Thank you as always, truly, for watching. I do appreciate it. And as always, really, really do truly hope that you are doing well. Thanks.